Imagine being in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes life will hit you so hard that nowhere is exactly where you want to be. You know that you can't stay there, but which way do you go? You don't want to be where the madness of life is. You can't stay here, but where is here? Where do you go? And how do you get there? I'm joined today with Jastin Artis, Khoury and O'Londy Simms. We are going to learn about them and their story in this two-part series coming out. This is Real Life UnPlugged, and I'm Jae Hers. Come with me on this journey to find the way through the truth to the life. This is Real Life UnPlugged, and I'm Jae Hers. Come with me on this journey to find the way through the truth to the life. This is Real Life UnPlugged. I'm Jae Hers, your host, and I'm joined today by three amazing people. I'd like to introduce you to my guests, Miss O'Londy Simms, Miss Khoury, and Mr. Jastin Artis. I'm super excited. Welcome to Real Life UnPlugged. I'm really excited to have you all here today. We're going to jump right in. Our topic is coming out. So I'm going to start by asking you all to tell me, what is coming out? I'll start with you, Georgia.
Okay. Well, coming out for me is beating the stereotype. And it just goes back to my life and everything that I have been through. And coming out being, not who everyone thought I would be, from, dealing with being a teenage mom and whatnot.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to so dig into that. I can't wait. And how about you, Ms. Simms?
Coming out to me is the stereotype, not so much so as they would say the world, but the stereotype coming from the church.
Oh.
As far as if one, as they say, has fallen and feeling and saying that you're not in tune with God or have a relationship with God. So therefore, coming out of that, from that stereotype from the church.
That's amazing. I love that point. Oh, okay. And you, sir, please
I don't know if I can add too much. They really hit it. Truth and freedom, I think, is when you can come out to who you are, what you are, and you can stand in that. That's coming out. So
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm really excited. That's actually a great segue, because as we're talking the show, we're talking about the truth in life. You know what I mean? What the way is into the truth into life. So I'm glad that you brought out that point. And I'm glad that you both brought out the stereotypes. That leads me actually to what my next question was kind of like what that feels like. And I think you covered it. Coming out has a particular look. So give me a little bit more detail. What does that look like for a person who has faced those stereotypes to say, I'm coming out when I get there? What does that look like for you?
What does it look for me? It was just being comfortable and blocking out the naysayers. So being able to walk with my head up high and not being affected by what people say or do. And for me, that was my coming out. My coming out was just to have the confidence, just to not worry about what they say or what they think, but all about how I feel, what I think, and what I say to myself. And that was what kind of helped me.
Okay. All right. Anything you all want to add to that?
I want to say that the look is, I think the beauty of it is everyone has a different look about it.
Okay.
So I know for me, being an artist, I'm a young Black male. I'm the stereotype of what it is and what people think. And because it's centered to hip hop, you look and sound, this is what you should be. I'm none of that. So being confident in saying, okay, like she said, I'm not listening to what anybody thinks, the industry, people, church, whatever it is. I can be me and comfortable. Now it takes time, but I think each step you get more comfortable and firm and this is me. This is
More
this is me.
self-aware.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so you can continually, it's like the more confident you're in you, the more you can block out everyone else. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. You talked about the confidence, and that's actually one of the other things. In coming out, I feel like there is a role. You know, we are, to some extent, I truly believe that God has graced each of us with certain skills and abilities. So what is our role? What's our responsibility in that way for coming out?
I would say the role is being obedient to God. I know that's always comes to mind first. If you can be obedient, no matter how hard, no matter how extreme it seems to you, it kind of guides everything else to fall in line. And you can kind of maneuver everything else. You know, I know for me, I might try to conquer a whole lot at one time. I'm a visionary, so I see things and some things that God shows me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do all of this right now. And he's, no, just take on a little bit.
This little part
You
here,
know, and so when you just be obedient to maybe that one thing, and then you can do another, and you know, so I think he kind of feeds you the more you, you know, stay true to him, what you hear, what you do, and then, you know, everything kind of works out.
Sounds awesome. So it's like there's a process.
Yes.
There's a step
yes,
by step
yes,
before coming out.
Yes.
So I'm here.
Most
Okay.
definitely.
And how about you, Simms?
Well, one thing I will say is that knowing who you are in Christ, and once you know who you are, whose you are, and having that love for Christ and having that self-love and allowing God to lead and direct you. Because the one thing you gotta have is that faith. You gotta have faith knowing that God will lead you, guide you, direct you, and he will carry you through the process. Because a lot of times people will look to others versus solely looking to God and having that full faith and trust in him to lead and guide them through the process.
That's good. That's good. I like that you talked about faith. And I actually want to hear what you have to say to that, what you have to add to that as well.
Yeah, of course, faith is always the number one thing. That's what we use to guide us. However, it goes to say that faith without works is dead. So a lot of people, they have faith, but then don't put in the work. So you can sit down, you can go to church, you can hear the pastor, you can take in what God, you know, is placing in you, but you have a lot of folks that sit on it. They don't.
They do what?
They sit on it.
They do who?
Okay. They sit on it and they don't allow to bring it out. Like they hear him talking to them, but then they're so afraid. Even though they have faith, they're so afraid. They still sit back and like, okay, I hear him. Yeah, he wants me to do this, but when are you going to act on it? And I think that's where a lot of us tend to, you know, we have these talents. We have things to say. We have things to do. We have a difference to make. However, we sit on it. And then we don't allow other people to receive it. Wow. And so I think faith, and you have to put in the work. You know, when you receive it, put it out there.
That's excellent.
Help people, you know. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm really trying to stay calm because you're, you know, we're having this conversation, but it's kind of like you're feeding me because that's really true. We talked about in previous things, we talked about, you know, that process and what the process looks like. We talked about how healing is a part of coming out. But I love the point. I'm kind of hearing what it culminates to is there is that responsibility we have.
Yes.
You know, we have to take those things in stride as God gives it to us. We have to apply faith and we have to do the works because that is the scripture. Faith without works is truly dead. So I'm really, really loving that. And since you brought that out, I would love for you to share with us some of your story. You feel comfortable to admonish the people.
Sure. I mean, my story goes back to the I would say the age of 11, being a young girl who came from a single family home, a single mother. She came from West Africa, Liberia, during the war, and she came into this country here doing the best that she can to support her 3 girls. Unfortunately, because she had to do that, it left, me home to raise myself. So coming home from school, it was me. At nighttime to sleep, it's me. She had to work and do what she had to do. So at that time, trying to find love in places that, all the wrong places, basically, because I didn't have that parent, that motherly figure there to give it to me. So I started to reach out in different areas. So I would say at the age of 13, I found myself pregnant.
Wow.
I was pregnant and didn't know and didn't tell anyone until I was about 8 months. And that's when my mother found out that, I was due any day. And I ended up having my child, I would say 2 weeks after my 14th birthday. So I turned 14 on the 16th and I had her on the 28th of February. Wow. So from since then, it has always been where people were in my ear saying, oh, this is it for you. You have to, now you have to be a mother. You're not going to amount to anything. They used to hide me because they didn't want the community to know that, oh, this young child had a baby. So I dealt with a lot of that. And I made a lot of mistakes because I listened to what a lot of people were saying. You're not going to amount to anything. And people don't realize that when you continue to tell a child that, or anyone, that you're not going to be anything, you're not going to succeed, you're just going to be like everyone else, people tend to take that and take it as their truth. And then they react on it. And so for the longest time, me hearing that, I just reacted on it. Okay, well, they ain't expecting to be anything anyway, so I'm going to drop out of school in the 9th grade. And that's what I ended up doing.
But what do you do now?
What do I do now?
Yes.
I am the owner of a institution called Khoury Administrative Learning Institute, where I teach administrative professionals and those who want to join the administrative field how to get their foot in the door and how to be the administrative guru. So I beat the stereotype.
Absolutely.
I took the faith and I put in the work, and it manifested into something great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to just applaud that. I think that's awesome. Talking about coming out.
Yeah.
That is key and it's integral, because I feel like sometimes when people are in situations, it seems to feel hopeless and it seems to feel helpless. I love what you shared, because sometimes, one of the things with me is I had to get to a place of owning, like I have to own this. This is where I am. And it leads me to my next question for you all about our destiny. How is destiny tied into the place or the situation from which we have to come out?
That is a good question.
That is a good question.
You want to go ahead and go start first?
Go ahead, Minister Simms. Bless the people today.
It plays a role. What you have gone through and what you have experienced. Once you have gotten through that storm, it builds you. It builds your character. It builds your faith. It builds who you are as a person. Because once you come out of that and God places you where he wants you to be, and then you in return say, okay, I've gone through this, like you said before, stepping out and doing the works, then you also can reach back to someone and reach over to someone and say, if I did it, then you can do it. So it's basically like steps, like a ladder going up. So as I'm going up, you're going up with me.
Take me out.
So that's your destiny.
Yeah.
And then it just trickles down. We're coming up together.
That's good. That's good. Anything else you want to add?
For me, hearing that question, I think of 2 songs. Everything is music. I'm an artist. So there's a song I did called My Destiny's Crying. And then more recently, Purpose Over Everything.
I like that song.
So I think, put in context what she just said, it's when you have nothing left. You have your purpose, you have your destiny, you have your calling. Now, granted, we know people run. They hear, like she said, you sitting in church, you hear God, but you're not
Guilty,
moving,
yeah.
you're not. And so I think once you do take ownership, responsibility, and acknowledgement, then you can just follow that, like she said, in the process and the steps. And you see it just go from way back when you started to where you know, and I think that's the beauty of coming out, is that it's not final. Like,
No, it's not.
you know,
That's awesome.
It's always
Yeah.
continuing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
always
That's
continuing.
awesome. I love that you brought that point up. I want to say something, but I want to hear your thoughts. I know. I'm sitting here like taking notes. I wish I had a pen.
Well, destiny, I believe, is something that when you're dealing with your own issue, you can't see the destiny, right? It's like it's far. You don't even pay attention to a destiny, only because you're at a point in your life where you're just trying to manage the now. So you don't think about the future. It's not until, you end up finding healing that you then sit back and sit still and say, this is why this had to happen in order for me to be where I am. And then that's when you realize your destiny. For me, I would say I realized my destiny about a good 2 years ago.
Wow.
It took that long for me to realize like this is your destiny. And my destiny was empowerment. You are put on this earth. The reason why you had to go through what you went through as a young girl is because there are other young girls out here who needs you, who needs you to tell them that they're beautiful, that it's not too late, that it's time for them to step out of that box and be great.
I hear
You know,
preacher.
so destiny for me is like, I didn't see it. It takes time. But now, you know, once you have sat down and you understand why you had to go through your truth and realize and accept it, that's when you know that this is my destiny.
That's fantastic. I love that. This is beautiful because I hear that, and I heard you say something, both mention something in regards to time. And that's kind of something that you said, you know, coming out is continuous. This started with you talking about Princess Tamar, you know, kind of gave a little background, and I just couldn't get out of coming out. And I'm like, why can't I get out of coming out? You know, it was like, why can't we get from this time? And you're like, I don't know. But I think that's great. And that was actually going to be one of my questions is there a time frame? You know, because it feels like, okay, I just got through going through this particular situation. And just as soon as I feel like I'm about to take a breath of fresh air, there's something else, which is why I asked how destiny ties in. But even more so, what is that timeline for coming out? You know, am I going to ever be free? Am I ever going to just really, truly be able to move forward?
You asking the right questions.
Help me out.
Because I'm asking it too, okay? Like, I need to know. But there is no time. I think it's funny, as you're saying that, my mom, I'm like, the time is now, but there's no time. If that makes any sense. So it's like, once you
Break that
know,
down a little bit.
if now walk with me here, I'm just it's coming down. It's coming down.
Let's take the journey.
Okay, so the time is now is more of when you hear what God has said to you, act on it. Like she said, you hear it. Everybody, we've all been there. I don't care if it's. I think the greatest example for me is when you're in church, and the spirit is high. Everybody's doing what they're doing, and you just sitting there trying to contain yourself. But you hear and feel things moving and turning, and God wants you to speak. And I'm not gonna say that. I'm not. You have to act on that. Yes, you have to act on that. And then once you act on it, there is no time limit. Again, there's levels, there's a process. It's never final. So you have to continue to stay focused and move. Just move. You know, just keep moving, keep listening, and then, you know, he'll do the rest of it.
Okay.
And there's no time on it because we're always learning.
Exactly.
You know, life is just a learning process. We are on this earth for how many years? Whatever years that God granted us. We are always learning. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new lesson that needs to be learned. And every day, that lesson that we learn, we need to apply it in a way where we can teach someone else in a way so they can learn from it. So if we don't go through our trials and tribulations, how can we help someone else? And I believe in this world, like our position is to help each other You know, is there ever a time where, you know, you can remember where you went through something and then somebody comes, a stranger, and then you hear them talking and you be like, girl, I just
like that.
That aha moment where you're like, this is why. And you be like, listen, come over here. Let me chat with you for a second.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's in the will. It's supposed to be done. We're supposed to learn. The destiny is never done. Like, we just keep going. Every day is a destiny. Every day we gotta figure it out to help somebody.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
Mrs. Simms?
Also, too, when God has his hand on you and he has a purpose in your life, you're always going to go through a chapter. You're going to go through, because one thing he allows at certain times and certain periods of our life for Satan to say, okay, I want to test that person. I want to try that person. Just like with Job, he said, you could take away whatever, take away his cattle, take away his land, his children, but don't touch his life. Because his Satan thing is, they're going to curse you. They're going to pull away from you. But God is saying, I know the purpose that I have for them in their life. I know where I'm taking them. I know their destiny.
That's good.
So with God's hand placed on you, yes, trials will come, tribulations will come. But how will you handle that test and trial?
That's true.
Stand the storm, finish the course. You have to stand no matter what, come what may.
Yes.
Come what may. I can give millions of testimonies. People around you, they want to see you fall because they feel like you're going to fall, because they don't feel like you're the type of person they feel like you're supposed to be. But like I said at the beginning, as long as you know who you are and whose you are, and you have that faith.
Right.
And it is a process, because no, we didn't always have that faith. No, we didn't always trust God.
Yeah.
And that's why with certain things, we did fall. But the awesome part about it is God is right there to pick you right back up.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. We're going to actually wrap on that thought, that God is right there to pick you back up. Stay tuned. We're going to definitely continue this conversation. I want to close us out in a quick prayer. I really appreciate everything that you all, I think that's a great culmination. God is right there to pick us back up. Wherever we go, whatever we get from this, as we come out, as we take this journey, let's continue to remember we're not in this alone. You know, we've all said how there's a process, you know, you brought different points were brought out. We can definitely all agree living can be challenging. So there are times that you can find yourself in a situation that seems like there is no way out. The event may have even come and gone, and yet you're still bound. You might be imprisoned in your mind or in your heart, and your soul is trapped. But we definitely have been exploring how to apply and tie the principles of the way, the truth, and the life, which are the words of Jesus in John 14:6, to coming out. So we are definitely at the end of part 1. And again, I want to say a special great thanks to my amazing guests, Jastin, Georgia, and O'Londy, who are actually going to join me for part 2. There is information below on how you can reach out to us for prayer and resources. And again, I just want to say a quick prayer. God be with you, God keep you, and smile upon you. I am Jae Hers. I want you to join us again on Real Life Unplugged. Until next time, be uplifted, be motivated, be inspired, and be encouraged.
Because if in your mind, you're always thinking that, oh, it's not going to work out, you know, something bad's going to happen, you know, this is not happening for me. When you continue to tell yourself that, sort of like what I said before, when people continue to tell you those negative things, it's the same thing with us. If we continue to tell ourselves that, we will stay in a situation. But if you tell yourself, I need to think differently, Once you start thinking differently, because
Me too.
I was in an abusive relationship for 4 years with my daughter's father. And I remember always telling myself, oh, you don't have a high school diploma. Nobody's gonna want you. You're 18 with 2 kids. You know, your parents don't care for you. They already neglected you, all those things. I used to tell myself that all the time.
Look at your life. Let's say I am a person of no faith, no belief, no hope, no trust. Who do you believe in? Who do you trust in? That's when you have to take a look at yourself as a person and say, do I love myself? Do I care enough for myself to get out of this pit and move on to the next level? You have so many people out here committing suicide because they don't have that positive connection, or they don't have that self-love. It wasn't taught to them, or maybe whatever that may have happened to them in their life. But you have to look at yourself and say, I'm more than this situation, that it will get better.
You know, but moving forward, trying to be a father.
Okay.
Married, very short-lived. You think that, okay, it didn't work out, so having our child, that's, you know, that's separate, right? That's separate. I set the expectation. If anything happens, this is, you know, we're gonna do what we need to do, right? Yeah, sure, of course. Okay, now it didn't work. Now I can't see my son the way I'm supposed to.
Wow.
Everything changed. I lost everything. And in the middle of that, domestic violence, falsely accused, you know, the different areas of now in the system of parent alienation, family court, child support. Oh, I've seen it all now, you know, but I'm still here.